Welcome back, everyone, to this Beefcast production. I am your casting host, Beef. Hope that you're all doing well today because we've got another game of StarCraft coming at you. This one does come out of the IPL4 tournament this past April, coming out of Las Vegas, Nevada. This is going to be a team kill situation in the losers bracket of the Opens. Alright, let's get right into it. This is going to be here on Antigua Shipyard, the IPL version of this map. And in the top left-hand corner, we do have the Red Terran, a star of his team, and one of the players that did very, very well in the GSL last year. Going to be making a comeback here in this event. He is Ghost King. In the bottom right-hand corner, we do have his teammate, one of the stars of the team leagues. He is going to be the Blue Zerg, BBoongBBoong. And so like I had mentioned, we are here on IPL Antigua Shipyard. This map does still have golds. This has been removed on a lot of versions of this map, but IPL choosing to keep this in for the time being. And so as a result of that, this map will be slightly more Terran favored than the other versions. This map is considered to be a little bit Terran favored, or more so Zerg unfavored, simply because of the difficulty that Zergs do have taking a fourth on this map. The difficulty being that being able to get to one of these fourths like this one or this one, you have to go really far to be able to get into one of these bases. And taking the one at the center is very difficult because if the Terran is able to siege up this high ground, if the Terran maintains the high ground, then they are able to very effectively deny this fourth. And because of the ability to drop a planetary fortress, that's able to buy the Terran map control and center dominance over here and very securely maintain their own gold base. So we do consider this map to be a little bit, or many consider to be this map to be a little bit Terran dominant and very difficult for Zergs because they are so reliant on maintaining that macro edge and the number of bases edge. Let's go ahead and take a look at how these players are opening, though we do see a very early gas coming out of our Zerg player. He did drop a natural hatchery at about 15 supply and followed that up with a 15 gas. So this is going to be a very gas-oriented opening coming out before the spawning pool. So we're probably going to see some very, very early speed, or we're going to see something like an early baneling bust, maybe even some early speedling pressure, or baneling, like delayed baneling bust economy pressure, something that a couple of Zergs have been favoring a little bit lately. Back in the Terran base, we do see that there's a command center on the low ground. Barracks has been dropped over here at a wall and spot. Going to finish that off with a supply depot and double gas coming out. So this double gas build is something a little bit different from what you're going to see. Reactored Hellions are the standard in this matchup currently, and the way that Beyond is his old name, Ghost King is his current name, playing under the name Beyond on this account right now. The way that Beyond has gone ahead and approached this is that he is going to get double gas after a factory. So this way he's going to be able to get a factory relatively soon, but this could even be something like, if he stays in these gas, this could be a gas intensive opening following this up, like early siege tanks or cloaked banshee. So we'll see how that does go ahead and affect the gameplay here. SCV does manage to make its way into the base, is going to spot that gas, and knows that speed is going to be coming. He was probably able to see that this spawning pool right here is going to be moving around, saying, hey, I'm going to make my Zerglings fast. Double Queen's going to be coming out for our Zerg player. Does inject here onto the hatchery first. A little bit not strange, but it's interesting to see that he does inject. He's going to be saving up a lot of minerals right here, so he does need those larvae, that's true. But a lot of Zerg players like to drop a creep tumor with their first queen at this point. Moving a couple of these queens out. He wants to be able to intercept this SCV, make sure that the SCV is not going to be able to get in there. Denying scouting information is the name of the game. Make sure your opponent does not know what you're doing, and we do see a starport coming out right now. And that's probably going to be building a tech lab for some cloaked banshee. Yeah, he's going to be staying in both these gases. So we are going to be having a cloaked banshee after reactor hellion follow-up. So the purpose of these reactor hellions is going to be able to get in there and deny creep spread. If you're denying creep spread, then you're generally going to be able to deny this drone from getting over here to the third. But this is a relatively early drone, and these reactor hellions are pretty delayed. The first Hellions are just going to be coming out right here at about the 6-minute mark. Normally you see those a little bit closer to the 5-minute mark, even down into the 440s sometimes. So he's going to see a large swath of Zerglings going to be moving into his base right now. There's a bunker in position and a nice engineering bay right there to be able to try to make sure that those Zerglings aren't going to be able to get in, but the engineering bay falls and is not even canceled. Zerglings get a nice surround on the bunker at this point. The Hellions going to be pushing themselves up against the wall. Even 2 Hellions here up on the high ground, going to be able to make sure that the Zerglings aren't going to get into the base. He's going to force a liftoff on the orbital command, and this supply depot will likely fall as well. But even this one Hellion here on the low ground, because of its ability to get into this corner and be protected by the 2 high ground Hellions, is not even going to fall. Saves the supply depot. Excellent defense here by Ghost King. At the same time, this Banshee is going to be producing, and Cloak has started, so we'll see how those Banshees do fare back at the Zerg base. Zergling's going to be getting in once more. Don't even manage to get an SCV before they're repelled by these Hellions. Hellion production is continuing at this time, going to be going all the way up to 6 Hellions very quickly. Back home, we did see that this third was dropped, so nice job of Boong Boong to take advantage that he did retain map control with those speedlings. Manages to get that hatchery up, and he's going to be able to take a nice economic advantage once he gets that saturated very soon here. We do have a 35/29 lead for our Zerg player in terms of harvesters, but operating off of double orbital commands, those mules are probably going to be lending a little bit of an advantage here for our Terran player. Yeah, it's going to be about a 350 mineral per minute advantage at this point. And so with Cloak finishing up right here, we do likely have... Yep, there's the Cloak Banshee. The Cloak Banshee is going to be moving in right now. Back in the Terran base, though, we did see that the Hellions were having to do a little bit of a dance with the Zerglings there, making sure to get themselves behind mineral lines and into a good position. Spore Crawler dropped down very quickly. That is a Spine Crawler over there. And a couple of Queens. They're not going to be able to defend against Cloak, but the Hellions are able to get in there and roast those drones on their way out. Nice job making sure to get those drones on their way out. You do not want those escaping, and really using this Banshee like it's a sheepdog, making sure to herd those drones right into the flame death from those Banshees. Fire cars, not your friends, drones. Another Banshee going to be moving over here into the main base, but there is not a Spore Crawler in the main. Going to be making its way over to the natural, though, and even retreating. Going to do a couple of pot shots onto those Queens. Nothing too serious. Drone going to be up there. I'm going to bump heads with that Overlord, but neither of them can do anything. They just want to chill out and say, hey, how are you? Zergling's going to be making their way back into the mineral line once again. A couple of Hellions over there going to be cleaning a lot of those up. But let's go ahead and take a look at the worker kills for each of these, all the way up to 7 right now for our Zerg player. 11 being taken out by our Terran player. Good job with those Hellions and with those Banshees. However, losing all of his Hellions like he did over here in the Zerg's third base is going to be giving up map control for our Terran player. And it's not exactly something you want to do. You want to be able to prevent the creep spread, because creep for a Zerg represents safety. As long as you're able to see as far away as possible with this creep, then you can delay the Terran push. The more time that you have to produce more units, because you've seen it come in. Very nice cancels here. Those cancels are absolutely crucial for the Zerg player. If you get the cancels off, then you're not really losing anything other than a few seconds on those creep tumors. However, if the creep tumors die, then you need to waste more energy from your Queens, energy that you need on injecting more creep tumors and transfuses. So you don't want to be losing those. An excellent observation and multitasking here from our player BBoongBBoong to make sure that those are canceled, not taken out by those Banshees. Banshees are going to be coming back in. One of them very low on energy, not going to be able to effectively cloak at this point, but going to be putting some damage into our Queen right here. And nice job having an Overseer nearby so that there are no... Where are you going, drone? So that if the Banshees do come in with cloak, there's not going to be too big of a problem. We do see... Yeah, there it is. Spire is going to be coming down, so it looks like BBoongBBoong is going to be going into Mutiling Baneling at this time. Got some pretty good saturation over here. A little bit heavy on that saturation, to be frank. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. He could use a few more drones over here, but not exactly the biggest deal. Sniping a changeling there. Very keen eye by our Terran player. And he'll be moving back across the map once more with Zerglings. Third base has been taken by our Terran player, and upgrades started. Going to be finishing up Infantry Armor level 1 in addition to Siege mode. Siege Tank's going to be very effective here dealing with the Zerglings and the Banelings in the upcoming battles. Nice job mineral walking those SCVs, not allowing them to get caught by the Zerglings, minimizing his losses. And Marine's going to be coming in here doing a lot of damage to these Zerglings, and it looks like he only lost about 2 Marines in that fight, which is a lot less than I thought. And a 1-1 stim with Medivacs is pretty good. We do see that the first Mulas are going to be coming out right now. We have a total of 9 with 6 more on the way. So a pretty decent amount of Mulas that are going to be moving out. The Banshees do spot, and the first Banshee is going to be taken out. So let's see, are there turrets coming down? There's the first turret. So yeah, just 1 turret for now, but he should be moving Marines into place. Going to go ahead and load up some of those Marines with a medevac. Very smart move. That's the fastest way to get back into the base. Mulas is going to be trying to get in there and do some damage to the SCVs, but with the protection of those Marines, Mutalisk coming back in, you do not really want to engage with Marines. Even with superior numbers like this, you're still going to lose a Mutalisk or 2, and trading Marines for Mutalisks is a trade that the Terran's going to take all day long. Those Mutalisks are very expensive units, and units that you do not want to have to reproduce. However, the Mutalisks are going to be buying a lot of map control right here for the Zerg, allowing him to take his 4th expansion, which is what we talked about. Very difficult for the Zerg to do. Taking out the last Banshee and any semblance of map control that the Terran player had, but he does have a ever-increasing amount of siege tanks with plus 2/2 starting for his infantry and level 1 ground weapons for his tanks that will allow his tanks to one-shot Zerglings at any level of armor. And as a result, we don't even see BoongBoong upgrading armor at this point. Well, I lied. I completely lied. Don't trust me, ever. Plus 1/1 is already done for the Zerglings. Plus 2 weapon attacks is going to be started, in addition to Flyer Carapace. Plus 1 Mutalisk weapons was already completed. So plus 1 Flyer Carapace is actually a pretty important thing in Mutiling Baneling, because your Mutalisks are going to be taking some damage from those Marines. There's absolutely no way that they won't be. And getting that plus 1 armor on those Mutalisks that have a natural 0 armor is pretty important. It's going to reduce the damage by like 12.5% or something like that. I don't do math, but that's a general number for you. And so we do see that there's a sensor tower up now. That sensor tower is going to be able to provide a little bit of early warning for our Terran player against something like Zerglings, run-bys, or Mutalisks coming into his front as he goes ahead and tries to take this middle ground right here. Nice scan to make sure that there are no Baneling mines. Very smart of our Terran player. Stims up a couple of units there. Manages to take out a Mutalisk. Manages to take out 2 more. 1 more at that point. And like I said, Mutalisks are not very cost effective against Marines, especially when the Marines are upgraded at 2/2 with Stim. You need to have a lot of Mutalisks if you want to engage some Marines. Something like maybe like 30 Mutalisks against like 8 Marines. Yeah, that's when I would be comfortable engaging against Marines with Mutalisks. We do see that there is going to be a large attack, however. Baneling's going to be rolling into the Marines, going to be taken out by a couple of the tanks here, but nice splitting by our Terran player, and the Zerglings are going to be able to clean up most of these tanks, and it looks like just 1 tank going to be surviving right now. But I think that engagement did favor our Terran player a bit more. That was a lot of gas in those Banelings, and he is going to be able to take the high ground behind this, and this is what you never want to happen as a Zerg player. As soon as that Terran gets up on the high ground with siege tanks, you're going to be in bad shape. You can see that he's floating out his command center, immediately going to drop that right there, morph into an orbital command. Drone's going to be Maynarding their way up onto this 4th base. I'm surprised that the Marines didn't chase it. So the way that last engagement went was a little bit less than ideal. The Mutalisks were not able to get in there. The way that Mutiling Baneling works is that you do want the Zerglings and the Banelings to be dealing with the Marines. The Zerglings are going to provide really just a net around the Marines, while the Banelings get in there and they're just going to be able to do all the damage to the Marines. Very effective AoE damage. You see that a drop is over here, but Mutalisks very effective at making sure that drops don't do any damage. Manages to pick off that Vespene Geyser, but nothing else. Not a huge deal. Scan's going down to try to clean up some of this creep, as well as Infestors going to be coming out right now, with the Hive Tech going to be started and Greater Spire going to be on the way. But the Mutalisks are really there to be cleaning up medevacs and cleaning up tanks. And the Mutalisks were out of position. They weren't able to get in on the tanks, and a lot of Banelings ended up either dying to or exploding on tanks, which is not what you want to have happen. You want those Banelings to be connecting with Marines, and Beyond did a very good job of splitting his units up, just like he's done right here. Pre-splitting, that's what you need to do as a Terran player against Mutiling Baneling. But with this planetary fortress right here, the Terran player is going to be in a very secure economic position. The fourth base has been taken and active for quite a while for the Zerg player, but that fourth is in a relatively vulnerable spot. Even with 6 of these spine crawlers, 5 of those spine crawlers right over there, it's in a relatively vulnerable spot. The siege tanks could move to this area and cut off any kind of ground reinforcements and then simply drop or walk into this base over here, and the Zerg could be in a relatively bad situation. His Mutalisk numbers are dropping now, down to just a total of 9, as he's trying to max out on more effective units such as Infestors and Broodlords. However, a couple of those Broodlords were taken out while morphing there, had to force a cancel, and Mutalisk going to be walking in. Nice fungal on a couple of those Vikings, and the Vikings do go down. However, Viking production is coming out 4 at a time right now. Very nice job by Ghost King, making sure not to underestimate the power of the air army of the Zerg coming out right now. Zerg did not even finish +1 flyer carapace. For some reason that did not complete. It looks like I have absolutely no clue why that didn't complete. And yeah, it's something that he really could have used against these Vikings. The Vikings have an exceptionally long range, and any armor that they're going to be able to get really is going to help to be able to make these Broodlords more secure. Broodlords do have natural +1 armor, and Corruptors have +2, but even a little bit more on both of those is going to be very useful. We do see that Ghost King has put a lot of turrets up here. Make sure that those are going to be putting damage into any air units that come in. But look at all those Vikings. Total of 6 Vikings going to be coming up right now, putting a lot of damage into the Zerg units. Some transfuses going down on a couple of these Broodlords. More Broodlords being morphed into the back. But it doesn't look like there's really enough right now. There's not a whole lot of a ground army to support this. And even if there was, there's still 5 siege tanks up on the high ground there. The Broodlord count has not been significant enough to deter this siege tank line. So we'll see what the counter to this is from our Zerg player, what he decides to do. Very nice job picking off a couple of those siege tanks right there, even drawing some friendly fire with some of those Broodlings. Corruptor's going to be floating in once again, maybe even a fungal coming in here. Fungal. Misses the fungal. Oh no, he hits the fungal. Great job. Hits that fungal, manages to take out the rest of those Vikings, and so the Vikings that are coming in right now, 6. And Marines coming in, managed to take out one of those Infestors. Very nice job. Those are expensive units that you do not want to use. You want to be able to keep those alive so that they regenerate their energy. And Zerglings and Banelings going to be making their way in here. But with Siege Tanks still on the high ground, they're going to be taking a lot of shots. Nice job focus firing down a couple of those Banelings. Banelings going to clean up many of the Marines, but there's a large reinforcement from the Terran player over here. And the Corruptors and Broodlords are going to be moving up, but they're largely naked. The Zergling forces are going to be relatively minimal right now, and the Vikings going to be cleaning up a lot of these Broodlords with the Corruptors, and it looks like the Terran is going to be pushing the Zerg force back. Zerglings coming in from the top right-hand base, going to be making their way over to the planetary fortress, but that is simply not going to happen. That planetary is going to tank Zerglings for days and days, even taking a 5th base behind this, going to be morphing that into another planetary fortress with another command center that has been morphed into an orbital on the low ground over here. I think that our Terran player is in a very favorable position. Like I said, this 4th base is in an extremely vulnerable position, and it's really difficult for Zerg to keep this 4th base. The Marines are going to be moving up here. The Marines are relatively low. Need to have these medevacs come in and heal them up, but the Marines, if they focus fire down this hatchery, I think that they'll be taking this out before anything else has the opportunity to get here, getting themselves into a very nice position right there, minimizing the surface area of the Zerglings that are going to be coming in. Banelings going to be coming in a very nice split, making sure that each one of those Banelings is not hitting more than 1 Marine at a time. And the Marines do all get cleaned up, but he's lost a lot of drones at this point. A total of 30 workers being killed by our Terran player. And I think that Ghost King may just have put himself into a very good position to win this game. Another base being taken down here by a Zerg player in the bottom left-hand corner, but there's absolutely no way that's going to finish, as this push is going to be coming in right now. And nice fungal on all of those Vikings, and good job pushing back the Terran army for now, but the Zerg player at 70 supply disadvantage. Siege tanks unsieging, they're going to be moving their way up any second here. More Marines going to be making their way to this top right-hand base, and going to be making their way into the mineral line right now, making sure to take out as many drones as they possibly can. Zergling's going to be coming in, but there was a group of units there to be able to flank, but unfortunately they kind of just moved their way out. Marine's going to be making their way over here, find this next base, but it doesn't matter. GG comes out from Boong Boong, and Ghost King does go ahead and take the game. All right, well, guys, thanks for watching. Once again, I've been your casting host, Beef. Make sure to tune back in for more games. Thank you to IPL for allowing me to cast these games coming out of IPL4, and we will catch you guys next time.